We've all been warned not to dip into our RRSPs given the tax implications and loss of the contribution room. But my next guest says that there are some cases where you may want to consider withdrawing from your RRSP. Dilys de Cruz is the Vice President of Wealth at Meridian Credit Union and is here with me in studio. Welcome back to the show, Dilys.
Great to be here.
So we all know the benefits of contributing to your RRSP
Right.
as a great vehicle to plan for retirement. Not only do you get to defer tax on any growth that happens within the RSP, but you also get the benefit of reducing your current taxable benefit, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the cases you said where people may want to consider withdrawing from their RSP?
Right. Okay. So let me go on record to say I'm not advocating that you go in there and withdraw because your RRSP is a long-term investment, right? And you really start out with the intent of using it for retirement. But like I like to say, life happens and things along the way can happen where maybe you've gone through a job loss, maybe
Or a divorce.
Or a divorce. We'll talk about that. Maybe you're going through some financial hardship. And I know that there's this big fear of dipping into your RSP, but there are some reasons and there are some programs that allow you to do that. We will talk about if you've gone through some hardship, what you should do. But I want to talk about the programs that enable you to go in. And so the first one a lot of people know about is the first-time homebuyers plan. And so the great news on that plan is it used to be $25,000. It's now $35,000 that you
great.
can. Yeah, the government just upped that for 2020. So $35,000 if you're married, two you can withdraw. That's $70,000. So the catch there is you have to pay it back in 15 years, which isn't a catch. You take it out
Right.
tax-free. You're paying yourself back. And so with the way house prices are today, it's a great way to start saving. You put in your RSP, you take the tax deduction, you don't pay tax on the growth, and then when you need it for your house, you take it out tax-free as long as you pay it
Seems
back over
pretty smart.
15. It's pretty smart. So definitely the way to go. Now, what I did want to say is with the new budget that was announced, this is a really good news story, that if you've gone through a divorce, you can actually use the home buyers plan to go in there and buy a house. And I think that's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Yeah.
As somebody currently going through a divorce, I think it's great news.
Yeah, because financially, divorce impacts both sides, and then you're on the other side saying, I want to buy a house, I'm kind of wiped out here, but I have this money in my RSP. You couldn't do that before, and now you can do that. So I think that's a brilliant move by the government.
So is that new this year that you can do
this year,
this?
2020. So
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful thing. So I highly encourage that. And the other thing is it's a great way for young people, and I really encourage young people to start investing. So here I am talking about withdrawing from your RSP, but I really encourage people, as soon as they get a new job, they get out of school and they get a job, start investing in your RSP. I know it's hard for young millennials, or they're probably Gen Zs, right, to start thinking about investing in an RSP. But because you can use it for buying a house, it's the way to go.
I think retirement seems so far off when you're that
Right.
young, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, you're right. It's even for buying a home,
Yes,
which is
yeah.
not so far off.
Right.
And a lot of, I know my 17-year-old probably can't wait to get out of the house.
Yeah.
So I can go home and tell her, hey, you can save for a house.
Yeah, and you kind of detach that retirement thing from it, but yet you have it in the plan.
That's right.
So another time you might want to dip into it is let's say you want to go back to school, so that you're not a student. Oh, am I talking to you?
I went back to school.
Going back to school, right?
I'm your client.
Perfect. So if you want to go back to school, there's the lifelong learning program, and you can take up to $20,000 over a 2-year period to go back to school. Now, if you're coupled up and you're married, your spouse can contribute to that too, so you can actually get $40,000. And the nice thing is that you have 10 years to pay that off. Once you've paid it off, you can keep redoing it. So if you kept wanting to go back to school, you can keep dipping in there. Now, again, you don't want to keep doing that because you're invested for the long term. But again, it's how great is that to know that if you wanted to go back to school and you're in a program, you can actually
I
use
think
that.
I think it's amazing because I think for a lot of people, they get to a certain age and they thought, well, I want to go back to school, but I can't afford it,
Right.
and so they can't see their way through it. But this is such a great way through it.
Awesome. You can upgrade your skills, and I think it's a really great way. So again, another option when you might be going through life change, or you just, it's time to do something different, you can dip in there.
Well, I did not know this, so that is very exciting to me.
Yeah, so two good things.
Yes.
Now let's talk about where hardship happens. What do you do? Again, sometimes you're sitting and you've been diligent and you're sitting with this great savings in your RRSP, but again, financial could be divorce again, right? Something happens and you are strapped for cash. There is an option to go into your RSP. However, you're going to get taxed, withholding tax, depending on how much you take out. So I wouldn't advocate that you go in right away. This is where I would really suggest you go in and see an advisor and say, okay, here's my whole financial situation. I'm struggling on cash flow, or I'm overwhelmed with debt. Should I go into my RSP to pay it off? The answer may not always be yes, because there may be an opportunity. Let's say you've got too much debt. There might be an opportunity to consolidate that debt. So if it's credit card debt or high interest debt, consolidate it into a loan at a lower interest and bring down your monthly payment so that you don't have to dip in, right? And so there's a bunch of options to consider that an advisor can actually look at your full situation and say, here's some alternatives for you to consider before you go into your RSP. In a worst case scenario, you go into it and you take out a small portion just to bridge you through. So I want to take the complete fear out, because I know in the financial services industry, and I've gone through divorce, and I've gone through some times where it's like, oh my God, what should I do? You just think, I can't touch my RSP, I can't touch it. And I'm just here to say that there's times where, you might want to touch it, but get some advice before you do that.
Right. And I think with this one in particular, debt or loss of income, it comes with some hang-ups, and I think people are uncomfortable talking about it, and they really shouldn't be, because it's their money, it's their future, right? And you're not there to judge, you're there to help them.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I'm always the first one to say, if your advisor is judging you or making you feel uncomfortable, get a new advisor.
Exactly.
I also say, if they don't give you a plan, get a new advisor. I'm very, very, and I have 60 advisors that report into me, and so I think it's so important. And Meridian, this is what we hang our hat on, is just making people feel comfortable at where they're at, and we'll meet you where you're at, on your financial journey.
Right.
And it's not always great, right? And you shouldn't feel embarrassed about where you're at. And sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. We see clients come in that are self-judging, saying, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Like you can see them self-judging, and yet they're doing really well. But they've put this judgment on themselves, saying, I should really have more at this age. And so we're here to say, you know what, wherever you are on your financial journey, and that's what you want from your advisor. If they're making you feel uncomfortable, or you just can't put it all out there, then you need to find somebody different.
And in order to get through it, you have to talk to somebody who knows, and can show you it all. Because unfortunately, sometimes when you're so thick in the weeds, you can't see a way out of it, right?
Yeah, and I share this story. So I'm in the business. And, when I was going through a tough time, I couldn't see my way out of it. I needed someone to say, what about this? And I have an advisor, and my advisor follows up with me on my RSP contributions and my RESPs and everything else, because I'm so busy with life and work and children that I don't do it for a living. I don't sit there and manage my own money for a living. You think I would, but I don't. And so I need somebody to look after me. So I think everybody needs somebody that they can really count on, and that can, through the good times and bad times, but to help you, financially.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more on this one. I think that's so important. And then you can also help with the budget, right? So people can see where they can cut back.
Yeah. So, the budget is such a scary word, right? And so who likes budgeting? Nobody likes budgeting. No. And so, having somebody to sit down and give you some advice and say, okay, you have to do some work on it. And nowadays it's so much easier, right? With the different apps that are out there, and just being able to group your spending. Really, you have to get a sense of your inflows and outflows. And sometimes we don't. It's so easy with debit right now, right?
Oh.
Yeah, it's so easy that we're just debiting and we don't know where our money is going. And it really makes sense to pause and just even do this regularly, to say, what are my inflows and what are my outflows? Where am I spending my money? Because you might find that you're spending more than you have, and that's so easy to do with credit, but especially debit, because that's all we do. We use our debits all the time.
Well, right? I stopped myself from going to Costco the other day, because I said I refuse to go to Costco because I'm going to spend money I don't have on things I don't need.
Yeah. Well, I go into Costco with the intent of, just $100,
Right.
$150. That's never going to happen.
No.
It's $300-$400 because this is such a great deal, and oh my God, I got to buy that, right? So I mean that's exactly it, because when you put yourself in that situation, it's hard to control it, right? So
Absolutely.
these are the kind of things an advisor would do. You go in, they would help you with a budget, and sometimes it's not. Again, if you're overwhelmed in debt, it may not be an all or none. It may not be I have to pay off all my debt and can't save. There might be an opportunity, like I said, consolidate your debt and start putting money towards your RSP, and take a small portion and get rid of the high interest payments, and then take a small portion and put it into an RSP. I also like to say, though, I love painless ways of saving. And so my little tips are, when you swipe your debit card, most financial institutions have that where you can say $1 or $2 goes into a savings account. I do that all the time. And
That's a great tip.
Oh, yeah.
Smart.
You don't feel it, right?
Yep.
So it just goes into a savings account. And again, when you are working off your paycheck, a lot of employers, allow you to just take a portion off and transfer it into an RSP program. Take advantage of those automatic savings plans that come right out of your account, because then you don't have to worry about
And
it.
it's painless.
It's painless, yes.
Right. So where can people go to get more information?
Yeah, go to our website, meridiancu.ca, and type in your location. You can find an advisor or branch near you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dilys. We're going to see a lot of you this year, so I'm
Yes, you
excited.
are.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
Me too.